Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name again is Jeffrey Davis, and we are streaming story after story about leadership and entrepreneurship and business in this daily changing economy. That's the difference. It used to be, people wrote business plans for a year when I first got into business, and then they wrote, quick, hit market business plans, 6 months, 90 days. And now owners I talk to, they're making new plans almost weekly as things change. And maybe our next guest can give us a little bit of insight into some of these things. Riggs Eckelberry, CEO of OriginClear. Did I get everything right?
Jeffrey, that's fantastic. Thank you.
It was quite a challenge. So welcome to the show, Riggs. Why don't you tell us about OriginClear?
OriginClear is basically, it's the 10-year overnight success in the water industry. And by that I mean that for years and years, we have tried mightily to change the slow-moving water industry. It's huge. It's $1 trillion business that does not like to change. But it must, because we know the state of water in the world and even in the United States. My mission as a former dot-commer has been to disrupt the water industry. And we think finally, in the year of COVID, we found it.
Well, tell us what the secret is.
It's interesting because, over the years, we built technology, and then we found out that the water industry doesn't care about new technology. They kind of like what's old. And then we bought an operating division in Texas for our revenue and capabilities. And then we invested in what's called modular water products, which are prepackaged, prefab. And that was all great, but it did not really change the fundamental nature of water deals, which are slow moving, high ticket, et cetera. And January 29th, we woke up with an entire province in China having shut down for a month, going, uh-oh, there is a problem. And of course, it became even worse than that. But even that much was a wake-up call. And we really had to focus on why the heck couldn't we speed up, accelerate, multiply water deals? And we figured out that it's really all about the money, stupid. It's about the funding. So
it's all about the money?
It's always about the money. And we realized that if you can supply the funding for a deal, you're no longer selling it. You're more like the white knight. You're more like, hey, I'm going to make this happen for you. And so what we started focusing on the funding side. And here's the funny thing, Jeffrey, you've heard of real estate investment trusts. You've heard of oil and gas limited partnerships, solar, these tax deals that they have, but there's nothing for water. Water is either invest in Veolia or a big municipal bond, but there's no way for you personally to invest in water equipment down the road. And that is a big missing opportunity because there's many, many more investors out there, especially now that they're losing their shirt on real estate, who are looking for real returns on their investment through passive instruments like water equipment.
Wow, interesting. How long have you been doing this?
Well, we started,
10 years, you said.
The OriginClear started in 2007. We went public in 2008. And we have been, and in fact, here's the weird part. We actually launched the company in the algae space. And our mission was to make biofuel from algae. And we were media darlings at the time. Algae was a who knew. And even Stuart Varney, says, I'll call you Algae Man, and it was a lot of fun. But then, of course, the price of oil crashed and algae became a science experiment. And that was one of my many, many pivots. And as you said in your intro, it's not just instant, week by week business plans. It's try something, and if it seems to move the needle, that's your business plan. In other words, great tactics lead to strategy that works. And that's been our approach, and it's starting to work out.
Wow. Well, who are your clients?
All right, so we got several layers of clients. First of all, we have our standard legacy business, municipalities, large corporations, and that's doing well. In fact, we were concerned that COVID was going to shut it down, and in fact, it seems to have sped it up. Not because more water deals are happening, but because we emerged as one of the really, really adaptive players. And so that's going fine. But as I said, it grows 22, 35% per year. How do we grow multiples each year? And that's where we moved into a whole new space, which is recruiting entrepreneurs. And by the way, there's lots of entrepreneurs out of business this year. Recruiting entrepreneurs to operate small water companies that we fund through a career building program. And that's amazingly successful and popular. And now that's the whole new game we're playing.
Well, that's all very interesting. And I've been trying to take notes on all this stuff as we're going, because you're saying so much to me. I apologize for that, and trying to just figure some of these things out. Where do you see the industry going right now? What's the future?
It's a really good question. Ever since so prior to 1960, huge concrete central sewage systems were built in this country, and most of the volume of water treatment went through these central facilities, these hyper plants in various, mostly big urban concentrations. Unfortunately, from 1960 onward, we stopped maintaining them. We stopped building new infrastructure. And as a result, we really have a failing central water infrastructure in this country that's held together with Band-Aid and PR. So the water industry is like, no, everything's good, everything's fine, but it's not. What is happening is called decentralization. Just like mainframes to PC, just like landlines became cell phones. You go where there's no infrastructure needed, which is right at the point of use. And so increasingly, water treatment has been getting done by the people themselves, like breweries treating their own water and so forth. And that is a major trend that a lot of the big players are not yet, they're still on the IV drug of big municipal projects, because those are the billion-dollar deals. But the future is small, and that's where it's at.
So to get that to happen, do you need private public opinion to change, or it's where you want it to be? Who are the influencers here?
Okay, so first of all, we've seen the big energy companies, really lobby against solar and often very successfully. In water, it's very different. The water municipalities, the water districts, are grateful for the water users, quote unquote, meaning polluters, doing their own treatment. They actually want treated water. They don't want dirty water anymore. So that's good. Municipalities are actually in favor of it. Increasingly, you have the end users, who are corporate usually. They are interested in doing it, but generally they're like, why do I have to do this? Why can't I use the city? And there's a famous case of a brewery in San Francisco area who was trucking all of its its excess effluent, to another county because the local place couldn't handle it. And this is where that changed. They were doing this endlessly. Trucking. A company came along that since has successfully sold itself to Culligan, called Cambrian. And Cambrian said, hey, we'll install it and you just pay on the meter. And the deal got done. So the key then is, again, the financial structure and also a certain amount of technology to miniaturize. Aside from that, the trend is there, the demand is there. If we can make the deals happen, then the small players like Cambrian, like OriginClear, will become big players, upsetting the reigning, big guys like Veolia, that's been around since Louis XIII in France. Maybe it's the end of the road for them one of these days.
It's all very exciting, Riggs. And, we've spoken to a lot of people about water in the past, and it's a topic that's always been interesting to me. You were making me think at the beginning, trying to put pieces together. If someone were looking for you and wanted to know more about this whole topic area, how would they find you?
Well, the easy way is to go to OriginClear.com, and I host a weekly CEO briefing on Zoom, Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and just go to our homepage, click, and you'll hear all the latest hot dope.
Well, that's very interesting then, and we appreciate doing that. And we hope you come back to Radio Entrepreneurs again and tell us what the trends are.
Jeffrey, it's a great pleasure, and thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you very much. And remind everybody, this is Radio Entrepreneurs.